point out about the Mangala Sutta before we go into the blessings. The first thing is, do you know the conversation, the audience that the Buddha was speaking to? Devas. Do you understand the significance of that? There is a huge significance in this. You see, regular people, regular person, when they face trouble, when they have concerns and worries and agitations, who do they go to for help? Devas. Buddhist goes to Devas. Other faith goes to whichever they consider, whoever they consider to be higher beings. But the Buddhists will go to Devas and ask for help, or Bodhisattvas, whatever you like, whichever you choose. Right? Nobody goes to Arahants for help, so we don't know who they are. But we go to higher, superior, whom we regard as higher and superior beings for help. Yeah? But the Devas contained in the Mangala Sutta don't know any better. They don't understand, they don't know what's blessing. They went to the Buddha and said, "Sir, we have a disagreement. We couldn't agree on what's the nature of blessing." How do you explain that? So can you see the irony that humans go to higher beings, so-called higher beings, and higher beings themselves don't know any better what is blessing, or what are blessings, auspiciousness. So I want to point out this because there is a significance to that, and I will reveal it at the end of the sutta. Okay? 38 blessings. There are altogether 10 stanzas in the Mangala Sutta, beginning with Asevanacha Balanam, Asevanacha Vittanam. Right? That's the beginning. I believe, or rather I will say that you can choose to believe that there are 38 blessings, which is fine. There's nothing wrong about that. But if you were to see these stanzas as self-contained, there is actually another way of understanding the auspiciousness, the blessings, at a different level, at a deeper level. Okay? So I'm going to try and explain each stanza as self-contained and what it means. And you tell me if this way of understanding it can be more helpful in helping you remember the blessings. Okay? The first one said, not associating with fools, associating with the wise, venerating those worthy of veneration. I would like to propose that this first stanza is about wisdom. Because for you to know what is wise and what is not, who is wise and who is not, requires you to have some idea what is wise and what is not. Agree? For you to be able to tell the difference between what is wise and what is foolish, that in itself requires some amount of wisdom. So that's point one. Point two, having known, you know for yourself, A is foolish. You know for yourself, B is wiser. Then you decide, never mind, A, B also are friend. Do you see the problem? So even if you can tell, this one is wiser, I think the other one is not as wise. In fact, the other one is quite foolish. Even when you know, and you can tell, but you may not have enough wisdom to say, you know what, I think I should stay away. So choosing to do the right thing by the relationship, that in itself requires wisdom. Because you could make a choice. I didn't ask you to ostracize the fella. I merely said, tell yourself, step away. You aim at fellas only relationship, only friendship. But to choose to walk away is to actually shield your mind, protect yourself. For what does it mean? What is the difference between wise and foolish? Do you know? First and foremost, let's go back to basic. Do you know the difference? Why do we say someone is wise and why do we say someone is foolish? Do you know that? Yeah. Correct. Very good, very good. Morality. It boils down to whether the individual has how strong, because we all have lobha, dosa, moha. If you have no moha, you won't be sitting down here. You see what I'm saying? We are all sitting down here because we still got moha. Huh? As long as you have the arising and very strong arising of greed, desire, and if you have very strong arising of greed and desire, you will have equally strong arising of anger and ill-will. The two of them are conjoined twins. You have greed, you have anger. If someone has a lot of anger, you can be sure the person has a very strong desire, very strong greed. That's not all. We all have greed and we all have desire. If we all are considered fools, then we all have to stay in our own little island. Because we cannot associate each other. Since we are all fools together. You see what I'm saying? Then what makes the difference between the regular person and the regular fools? It is whether or not you are so seized by your greed and desire that you can't tell it's wrong. If you look at greed and desire and say, what is wrong with greed? Greed is normal, greed is good, you know. Many years ago there was a show, Wall Street, I think. Greed is good. That's the fool. Because if you can't tell the unwholesome states as not desirable, unwholesome, blameworthy, to be discarded, if you can't tell that, that makes you a fool. If you recognize that when you are being greedy and you recognize that when you're being nasty, you're not nice at that point, you're not being nice. If you recognize that, then you are not a fool. You are just poor practitioner, jialat practitioner, but you're not a fool. Understand? And not enough. Even more foolish is when you think you are entitled and you're self-righteous about being a fool, or rather being greedy and being, my anger is righteous. That kind, if you say I have righteous anger, I am worthy of anger, I am entitled to interest and fame and gain, and I am entitled, I am self-righteous. If you're of this nature and then you go tell others, I am entitled and so are you. You should fight for your rights. You are entitled also. If you are foolish and you encourage everyone else to join your bandwagon, then you are the kind of fools the Buddha said, better for you stay away. Why? Because your mind, if you don't know any better, if you are what I call a budding wise person, meaning not really wise yet, but getting there, you're trying. If you are like this, so you're not very clear in your mind, you go and mix with someone whose mind is so sure that greed is good, evil and unkind is great. You go mix with that, the chances are you're going to join him on his downward slide. And that is the reason why you need to be very careful with relationship. What's the Chinese expression? My Mandarin not very good. 大眼识人，对吧？对啊 Okay. Bring your eyes along to see evil. Recognize wise for wise, foolish for foolish, and then do the necessary. So if your friends and your teachers, the worst. Friends already bad enough. If you have a teacher, your Dhamma teacher, hello. You are getting what? Very fun. If you have a Dhamma teacher telling you, fight for your right, let's go chong now, let's fight for your right, go beat up people who cheat you, encouraging you to get angry, be greedy, does not matter, just whack. If you have that, you must know it is time to be cautious, if necessary, to step away. Okay? And why is these cards like that? It starts off with, do not associate with the fools, associate with the wise, venerate those worthy of venerating, right? It comes at that sequence. Because the first thing, you got to first quickly figure out who are the ones that will lead you astray. You stay clear. The second one is, look for the ones who can guide you to higher ground, and you venerate them. You associate with them. You honor them. Honor is not you bow at their feet, kneel, bring water can. No, my point is can you see it's linked, the last two? Because they are wise, you want to associate with them. If you can acknowledge that they have something to teach you, therefore worthy of venerating. If you don't acknowledge, you can't learn. You may see wise, you may sit next to the fella, but you're not going to learn anything. But the moment you tell yourself, there is something about this person that I want to learn from, and I will show my respect. Why? Because showing respect is to press down your own ego. If your ego is not down, it is very hard to learn. That's all. And when you can show your respect, your mind is open to learning. So that association becomes beneficial to you. Okay? First stanza. There are 9 more to go. My trouble is, once I start, I can't stop. Second stanza, it says, residing in a suitable place, merit done in the past, directing oneself rightly. And you say, all three, what's the connection? The first one, you see for yourself, you decide, you choose. You choose, right? You can choose. The second one are what I call external conditions, much harder to choose. In fact, in some cases, you have no choice. You couldn't have chosen to do merits in the past. If your parents decide this is where we are going to stay, you are stuck. You see what I'm saying? So the second stanza is about external conditions that are they are not quite within your control, 1 and 2. But, having said that, we can still say these conditions, you can still choose to make the best use of them. That is why the third one says, directing yourself rightly for the future. Where you stay is an environment that you have to operate within. Whether or not that environment is suitable, there is an objective benchmark, there is also a subjective benchmark. The objective benchmark is, well, if this is war-torn, if it's crime-ridden, if everyone here is starving, naturally in this place, the possibility of progression is lower. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say one very important thing. So I must interrupt my own talk. The word Mangala has been translated as auspiciousness and blessing, right? Actually, if you look at all the stanzas, they really mean By blessings and by auspiciousness, Buddha meant any condition, any factor that allows you to grow, to progress, spiritually or materially. Buddha was talking to a bunch of devas who wanted to know in general sense what is auspiciousness. In other words, it's not for practitioner only. In general sense, how do you tell when something is auspicious? So he didn't say the end game. He said he identified conditions for growth. So all of them are about conditions for growth, which is rather unusual because the regular person look at end game. Got a good wife, I got great parents, I have a good job, I live in a lovely place. Now, all these are end game, what you hope to get to make your life easier. Whereas his are all conditions for growth. He didn't say good wife, he said you take care of wife. He didn't say good parents, he said you take care of parents. You see what I'm saying? So the conditions that he laid down for are not conditions that people like, but they are conditions that will help the individual grow. Okay? So that is the start point. Then back to the second stanza. Residing in a suitable place, I said there's an objective measurement and there's a subjective one. The objective one is the world can see when there are conditions that are pleasant and easier to grow, and there are conditions which are hampering growth. The world can see that. But subjectively, the individual can still make the best of what they have. If you happen to live in a place where the conditions are not ideal, if you know how to make the conditions ideal and better, how to make the conditions better, you can still grow. He was saying, in an ideal situation, the place is suitable for growth. But I'm saying, even if the conditions are not ideal, you have a place to stay. That's still good enough. We can still go from there. Okay? And then he said, having done merits in the past. And you say, that's all past life. No! Past life is past life. Past already. It's actually what things you have been doing yesterday, just now, earlier. So you can talk about past life, but it's also this life. Yesterday, how did you treat people? Earlier on, how did you treat people? What did you do good? What did you do right? So in other words, you are saying here, it is saying that I have done good things. Because I've done good things, and I am living in a decent place, put the two together, you must be able to tell for yourself, I can make the best use of these circumstances and these conditions to set myself right for the future. That's the third point. You see what I'm saying? If these were three separate points, then directing yourself right for the future, then I would say it's about wisdom. Now, choosing to do what is right now. But if you put the three together, you are saying, I have these resources. For instance, if you had treated people well and you treat people nice in the past, then what do you have? Friends. You treat people well, you treat people nice, you got no friends. It's so jialat. You sure you treated them well or not? If you treat people well, then you treat people right, and you treat people sincerely. You don't treat well and nice but not sincere. Ulterior motive. You treat people well, you treat people nice, sincerely, for sure, there will be some degree of reciprocity. Right? This is normal. So, the second stanza, I reiterate, it's about having making use, knowing, having the wisdom and the intelligence to make use of the circumstances, the conditions that you have to set yourself right for the future. Okay? The third set, much learning, a craft, well-trained, disciplined, well-spoken speech. And you go 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, different. No, 4 parts are skills that you can harness and they are within your control. Much learning, bahu saja, much learning. You can learn. Then you say it's about education. Once you learn how to read, the world of knowledge contained in your language is open to you. But if you can't read, you can speak and you can hear, you can still learn from another. The point here is, as long as you have cognitive abilities, so you can learn, you can grow. And you should grow to the best that you can. Because these skills, either IQ or well-spoken is EQ. Either IQ or EQ, you put the two together, they are wonderful conditions for your own material growth. Get it? So this is not separate. Together, within your control, learn to harness them well. Next, serving one's mother and father, maintaining a wife and children, and a harmless occupation. Collectively, it means having a meaningful and peaceful life, because these are your family members closest to you. One set are the people who gave you life. The wife is a person you chose to make a life together with. Children are the beings you had given life to. They are the closest people that you have. If you have people to look after, you have support. There's emotional support. Looking after them well gives you a peace of mind. And then that's why he throws in harmless, peaceful occupation, livelihood. You put the lot together, and that is peace at home. Why? Because without some degree of peace, quiet and calm in your home front, you can't connect to the others. All these are connected, right? I told you each stanza is self-contained. But you connect them together, you will see a story of what makes a successful life. What makes a successful life? Knowing who you are. I'll go through that again later. So here we're talking about looking after the people closest to you, protecting, preserving the peace on the home front. The next set of stanza, in fact the two stanzas are together. Giving and righteous conduct, assistance to relatives, blameless deeds. That's one set. The next set, desisting and abstaining from evil, refraining from intoxicating drink, heedfulness in good qualities. So many things, right? You put them together, it merely means holding the morality line. And why did they throw in assistance to relatives? Why did the Buddha put in this point? I was explaining earlier to some of the people, in ancient time, people lived in villages. In those villages, everyone is a relative. Whether it is a relative that kinship that you identify with because they live in the same village for centuries, or blood relatives, it doesn't matter. Basically, right here in this segment, earlier on you're dealing with the people closest to you. In this segment, you're dealing with people beyond the closest to you. And for the people outside of your closest folks, you treat them with righteousness, righteous behavior, morality, kusala. Do not be akusala, unwholesome towards them. And Buddha always talk about giving. One critical measurement of whether or not you are kusala, how strong are you in a kusala sense? Do you know, sorry, I'm just using Pali word because I'm so used to it. How familiar are you guys with the word kusala, akusala? Yes, no, never heard of. Yes? Yes. Anybody says no? It's okay. Hello. Hello. Oh my. Shy girl. Akusala, kusala. Wholesome, kusala. Unwholesome, akusala. Akusala can be translated as immoral. Okay? Now, right here, if there is some degree of wisdom, you are clear in your mind what is wholesome, what is moral, you try to do the right thing. And one of the features that the Buddha always talk about, one of the features of wholesome behavior is the idea of giving. Here he used the word dana, but in some other instances he used the word chaga. And this is very important because in the early days, when the Buddha first started explaining the Dhamma to lay people, did you know what was the first thing he talked about? Not Sagga, dana. When the Buddha taught Dhamma, the first thing he stressed to people was this thing, dana. Subsequently, it got changed a little and it became chaga. They are similar but they are not identical. Dana is giving, chaga is generosity. What's the difference? Chaga is a more generic word, giving being a subset of chaga. Okay? For details, no time to go into details. For details, you read my next book. Today, I will just explain the basic. Fundamentally, in this practice, it's about the mind knowing how to let things be, knowing how to let go, knowing how not to cling too tightly to ideas, to things, to identity, to thoughts, and so on. The more you cling, the more dukkha there is. So, step one in dana is letting go of material things. If you can't even let go of material things, how in the world are you going to learn how to let go of views? The I. If you can't even let go of material things that you can always replenish, if you are so anxious, you can always replenish. If you can't even do that, how are you going to do the more subtle, the higher level of letting go? Can't be done. It's okay. It's okay. I'm a one-stop. Stop. Okay? So that's why dana is very important. In fact, there are suttas, I know it because I said I was writing a book on chaga, and I came across the suttas where he specifically said, no chaga, no jhana, no nibbana.
Buddha said that. Okay? So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 stanzas, the 5th and 6th stanzas deal with wholesome behavior, holding the morality line, starting with giving, assisting, helping. So metta, karuna, all embedded here. Okay? Because there is peace at home, there is a certain degree of tranquility in your life, because you are observing some degree of morality, you're holding the morality line, you put these together, and the odds are your mind is bent towards spirituality. Whenever I use this word spirituality, it is not talking about being religious. You are being beyond materialism, beyond materiality. You are not too caught up with material things, material world, secular world. You lean that you seek a certain balance in your life. So you bring in spirituality into your life. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of people saying, I got no time for Dhamma, I got no time to go temple, I got no time to meditate, I'm very busy, I got work to do, I got work, my family, my kids, I got to do this, that. Yes? Buddha's right or wrong? The more caught up you are with the secular world and your secular obligations, the less you feel, this is a matter of choice, you will feel that you have less time for spirituality. And that is because you have chosen to put the material secular life on a higher priority than spirituality. Nothing right or wrong about that. It's an individual's choice. It's because of your choice, that you say, I don't have time. Everybody has 24 hours. You sleep half an hour less lah. Then you have time to meditate lor. You see what I'm saying? Okay. That's why the next stanza is spirituality. Reverence, humility, contentment, gratitude, timely listening to the Dhamma. And then you say, how come that 4 qualities linked to Dhamma? You know, if your mind has these 4 conditions: reverence, respect, humility, contentment, and gratitude. If your mind has these 4 mental states, when you sit down and listen to the Dhamma gets in. If your mind does not have these 4 conditions, then it is not timely listening, meaning your mind is not ready to hear the Dhamma. Of course, you can hear the Dhamma anytime you want. In this time and age, the YouTube is always available. So many Dhammas in there. But if your mind lacks certain conditions, the Dhamma doesn't get in. So I'm proposing that these 4 mental conditions are helpful conditions for timely absorption of Dhamma. Why? Reverence. It's respect to the Dhamma. If you have respect for the Dhamma, you won't be munching your food as you listen to Dhamma. It won't happen. Because you want to absorb every word. How to absorb with intermittent? As an example. So my advice is don't eat when you're listening to Dhamma. Okay? Our humility. You are saying, I don't know better. Buddha knows better. I don't understand everything. Buddha does. In fact, there is actually a sutta where the Buddha taught his disciple, you've got to tell yourself, Buddha's my teacher, the Tathagata's my teacher. I don't know anything, the Tathagata knows everything. I don't understand the practice, the Tathagata understands the practice. You see what I'm saying? There is actually a sutta where the Buddha said, you've got to tune your mind to be respectful, and then you can learn. Contentment. The Dhamma teaches contentment. Number one. Number two, if in your mind you keep saying, so what's next? This teacher not very chim, you know. Chim means deep enough. Translation on the spot. Not deep enough, not profound enough. The talk is so simple. You are dissatisfied. When you're dissatisfied, what are you going to hear? How are you going to absorb? And then if you say, at the end of listening, you say, I'm very happy I heard something useful today. What are you feeling? Gratitude. If you can feel that, you will remember what you heard and you can apply accordingly. I told a class yesterday, if you can't apply what you have read in the sutta, you don't understand it well enough. Sutta is about life, it's about practice, it's about application of the Dhamma. So everything you read, everything you hear, everything you understand about the Dhamma has to translate into operational behavior, actual behavior, okay? Actual application. So this is about timely listening to the Dhamma. The next one, it says, patience, being amenable to advice, seeing of ascetics, timely discussion on the Dhamma. Now, effective learning is proactive learning. Agree? Meaning for you to be able to understand and grow from there, you have to be able to ask questions, verify understanding, engage and push further the speaker or the person that you're consulting. How do you do that without going back to the person and saying, can I check with you? And then how do you do that if you're not seeing the individual? And then how do you learn if you listen and the fellow said something and you go, I don't agree. I don't agree. Your mind is shut. Doesn't matter. I'm not saying it's wrong to be critical in your listening. In fact, true learning requires some degree of thinking, some degree of critical thinking, not criticizing, but learning to ask what, why, so what, and so on. So some degree of critical thinking. Not just a sponge that absorbs absolutely, but a thinking sponge. Try. Thinking sponge. Meaning you absorb, you reflect, you consider, you wonder, you apply. Then you say, this part I tried, I applied, but it does not seem to work the way he said, something like this. So there has to be some degree of judgment, some intelligent judgment going on. But at the same time, you cannot be so critical that everything the person say, you say, I don't agree. Everything the person say, you say, I disagree, I have another view. Like this, in this manner, you are not listening to anything, you're not absorbing anything. Even the Buddha can't get to you. So, being amenable to advice, meaning you are open, there is a certain open-mindedness there, helps with learning. Patience. Have you ever looked at yourself when you're trying to get someone to answer your question? Sometimes impatience gets the better of us. Can you get to the point? Can you stop meandering all over the place? I asked you yes or no, and you said, we must see things in context. And then half an hour later, you're still not answering me yes or no. There is a certain impatience, right? So in this particular setting, some degree of patience helps with learning. This is all about learning. How do you learn best? what conditions will help you absorb the Dhamma best. Okay? Comes the last two stanzas. You get to this point when you are beginning to proactively ask questions about the Dhamma. What are you likely to be feeling or to be aspiring to do? Come to this point. You see, we started out being very material-based, very secular, all the conditions necessary for success in the secular life. And then because it was all quiet on the Western Front, you are able to focus on spirituality. That's when you say, let's check out the Dhamma, let's learn a little deeper. Yeah? What's the point of learning if you don't intend to put it into practice? What's the point of reading so much, attending so many talks, if you don't intend to use the teachings to fix your mind and make it possible for yourself to experience a happier life? Because that's the Dhamma. The Dhamma is a DIY manual for helping you. DIY means you do it yourself. I was polite. I didn't want to say Dhamma for dummy. I would say DIY. It's DIY for yourself to learn how to adjust the mind, adjust your understanding, adjust your behavior in daily life. That is why the next one, the Buddha assumes that you got it, okay? You have wisdom because you came so far on the right track. You must have wisdom. Therefore, austerity and the spiritual life, seeing of the noble truths, realization of Nibbana. That's the connection. Because you ask, you check, you were interested, then you apply. And the first two words are summary of application: austerity and the spiritual life. Meaning, this is not austerity for austerity's sake. This is learning to make do with minimum. Learning to make do. Okay? Austerity here means learning to be content. It is not for you to go home and transform your house into a minimalist lifestyle. It means you stop buying too many things from now onwards. Stop feeding the Great Singapore Sale. Stop doing that. Okay? Making do with what you have and be content about that. That's one. Spiritual life. In one description, the Buddha summed up the path, the Eightfold Path. If you live applying the teachings of the Eightfold Path in your regular life, you are leading the spiritual life. Eightfold Path. Okay? If you do it like this, if you are content and you are very particular, very disciplined in leading this Eightfold Path, applying the Eightfold Path in your life, if you do these two, seeing the noble truths, realization of Nibbana is your end game. If you apply the Eightfold Path judiciously in your life, you will understand the Dhamma. When he used the word seeing the noble truths, you notice he did not say seeing the Four Noble Truths. Again, this is significant because the path is part of the Noble Truths one. Said already. Seeing the Noble Truths is actually seeing dukkha, understanding dukkha, understanding origin of dukkha, understanding cessation of dukkha. For details, you can attend my talk all night. No time to go into this one. If you can see and you understand, that is realization of Nibbana. Fundamentally, realization of Nibbana sits on a complete understanding and realization of dukkha and cessation of dukkha. Okay? When that happens, so the last one, the highest one, or the second last one actually, one whose mind does not shake when touched by worldly conditions, sorrowless, dust-free, secure. This stanza is about the consequences of true right practice. If your mind experiences Nibbana, I always use my words very carefully. When the mind has experienced Nibbana, and it can only happen when there is complete understanding of Noble Truths. Complete understanding of Noble Truths. Noble Truths are dukkha and cessation of dukkha. Buddha never said the way out. The Buddha used the word cessation of dukkha. You have to be very clear. The Buddha words were very precise, and he was very particular about precision. There was a sutta where he said the Dhamma will decline when people use Dhamma words, the words for the Dhamma, to teach the Dhamma loosely. They didn't get the phrasing right, they didn't get the meaning right. You want? Wet? What? Butter? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I said. I was hoping to help you get butter. So, when we are quoting the Buddha, could be very careful in precision of words, because the precision of words, he was precise because that's exactly what he meant. If you were not precise, then you are sharing what you thought he meant. See what I'm saying? So this one, he said, dukkha and cessation of dukkha. And when that happened, when the experience is complete, this is complete. The experience Nibbana, understood the teaching completely, the mind does not shake when touched by worldly conditions. You see, the word that the Buddha used to describe the regular person, the average man and woman, the word Buddha used was Puthujjana, right? Translated as worldlings. What it means is the individual is seized by the experiences of the world. The world is experienced in two ways. All worlds, every one of us, we experience the world in two broad ways. Number one, the external world. Through your sense bases, your sense doors, through the sense object. If your sense doors, your sense bases are working normally, your sense door will receive the signals from the external world. It will go into a processing central system, and then there is the experience. At the same time, there is the internal world, where you are shut to the stimulus from the external world, and you have your own little conversation in your world. There are two worlds only, right? And the mind will toggle between these, and it will form impression, opinion, assessment, views, comments, critical ones and positive ones, and gets caught up in these two worlds. Our mind, the worldling mind, is always being shaken by these two worlds. And they are the conditions of the world. The conditions of the world external and the conditions of the world internal. And you're always being shaken by these two worlds. Because you can't extricate yourself, you can't extricate the mind from desires. The reason why it's being shaken is because our mind is constantly seeking pleasure and running away from pain. So it's shaken by these two extremes, pleasure and pain. Constantly. And a mind that understands dukkha and understands the practice, the cessation, you end up with cessation of dukkha, realizing nibbana, that mind finally is enlightened to what worldly conditions are. And because he is enlightened to the worldly conditions, he will not be bluffed, deluded by the worldly conditions. If he remains caught up by those inner world and outer world, if he gets caught up, he still believes in them, then he's a worldling. There's no way he's realized. But if he's not caught up by these two constructions going on, then he is an Arya. He's out of this game. Okay? When the mind is enlightened to the conditions, the habits, the conditions, the defilements, when the mind is awakened to that, it is sorrowless. Sorrowless is about feelings. Dust-free, dust-free. My pronunciation is not always immaculate. Huh? Dust-free is about defilement, thought construction, maybe. Habits of the mind, definitely. So like craving habit, anger habits, rising energy. Secure is a mind that is anchored, aware in the moment, and doesn't get caught up by the conditions. It's an experience. It's an experience. When you are steady, it's an experience. It's not a defilement. Okay? This is the highest blessing. And you see, most people who say 38 blessings will end the counting here. Then this is one. Those who have done these things are victorious everywhere. Everywhere they go safely. How come Buddha said, "Theirs is that highest blessing"? So one was said. But usually 38 ends above. It doesn't go into the last one. You see what I'm saying? So the idea of 38 is mind-made, man-made. And this one says, those who have done these things are victorious everywhere. Everywhere they go safely. So, a life fulfilled, a life well lived, is a life that had gone through all the 10 stanzas. You said, only Arahan 10 left. No. The moment you practice and you put into practice the teachings with correct understanding, you will start to experience what it feels like with a mind that is less Richter scale shaking. No more earthquake zone. Will be what we call subtle tremor. Not 6, 7, and 8. Maybe 1, 2, 3 is still okay, right? 3, you know. 3 is a bad day. 1 is a good day, a great day. And the ultimate end game is the experience of the Arahant. But you cannot. It's like saying this. I go for exam. I can never score A+. So I don't try on. That's the attitude. If I cannot be Arahant, I don't try. But surely, if you want a job, you need a cert in Singapore. So surely you must get something in. Otherwise, what's going to happen? You're just going to stay at home and sew. You know what I'm saying? So, what's the incentive? The incentive is a more peaceful, better adjusted, happier mind. That's the reward. You would rather go buy a ticket to watch a show and have 2 hours of agitation, and depending on what kind of show you watch, because nobody goes for a show and just sit there and stare. Who goes there and watch? Can you imagine the movie title, bestseller, Zen, watch rainfall, and then the whole show 2 hours just sit there and watch rainfall. Nobody goes there. People go for a show and then they get the stimulation crazy, you know. Whereas, but that's a temporary pleasure, temporary delight, temporary agitation. Then tomorrow must pay money and watch game. Oh, these days can watch online. Whereas this, literally, is the quiet mind. The quiet mind and a peaceful life. And then the Buddha said, those who have done these things are victorious everywhere. Everywhere they go safely, theirs is that highest blessing. This is the highest blessing. But I want to point you to this word. Isn't it cute? He said, everywhere they go safely. Do you know why? Let me ask you, when you go and bye-bye, you go pray, what did you ask for? For the safety, peace of mind, good health, my children all safe. Human goes to the devas and they ask for blessings. Fundamental to the blessings is safety. Not the safety of life, safety of possession, safety of the mind, peace of mind. You ask the devas for a peace of mind, but you have to be very specific in your request in case they get your point wrong. So you ask for the following, which essentially means the peace of mind and safety. So what are the following? Good career, good husband, children obedient. I don't know what else you ask for, because nobody asks for great parents. It's too late, right? Done game. And then so on and so forth, right? We ask for these things. And his point was, you set the conditions correct, you will feel secure, your mind does not shake, you feel very happy, very content. There's no need to ask for external blessings. And no devas can give you those blessings. The individual creates the blessings for himself. So he was telling the devas, to some extent, you are superfluous, redundant. But we don't agree with Buddha, we still want our blessings. You see? we still want our blessings. What do you mean by it? No. Better play safe than be sorry. Oops, cannot ask about it. And he said, those who have done these things, so you can set your own conditions and you're fine. Okay? Any questions? You know, I must must never say I will start something and then I will answer the question at the end, because at the end I will forget the question. Do you all remember what question I said I will ask? What point I said I should mention at the end? No, huh? It's okay. Any question? Yes. Oh. Ah, okay. Thank her. You see, in 2 points, related points, but 2 points. Across space and time, from time immemorial, so to speak, humans had always looked to stronger power, higher powers, for protection. In all faiths, in all religion, ancient and modern, men have always turned to forces outside of themselves for solace, for peace, to assuage their fear, right? And here in the Buddha's teaching, whose point is not generally understood, so people miss the point. But you think about it, in this teaching, Buddha said, you're on your own, you know. You can fix your own mind, you can fix your own problem. But, which is the second point, it can be done. That's the important thing. The first point is the Buddha's position that really we are masters of our own fate. Masters of our own fate, our own destiny. Contained within the individual, vulnerable and otherwise, they are man-made. The individual has the strength, the resilience, the wisdom to overcome his natural instincts and rise above his limitations. And when he succeeds in doing that, he is higher than the devas. This is the only teaching, the only teacher who said man is higher than any supernatural beings, because he has the wisdom, he has the abilities to transcend his human limitations. The human limitations are man-made. The human himself set his own limits. And it's because he had already set those limits, he could transcend them. If you go and do high jump and said 3 feet is the limit, the odds are you are not going over 3 feet. But if you say, as you try, and you say, we don't know lah. We really don't know. Just try. Learn the skill, learn the method, have the knowledge and the practice, discipline, and let's sail over 10 feet. Yeah? So you're transcending your own human limitations, you're limited by your mind. Your own assumptions, your own fears, your own mind-made stories. Okay? That's it. Mangala Sutta. Any other question? Can you now remember better? 10 is easier, right? 38 is very hard, unless you memorize it. Okay? Tomorrow night, I am actually teaching at Mangala Vihara. 7.
7:30.
7:30 at Mangala Vihara. I'm teaching the really hardcore Dhamma. So the Four Noble Truths Eightfold Path, you want to know the details, how you incorporate the practice into daily life. That's tomorrow night. Okay?